live streaming, having a good time with it. And yeah, let's freaking do this. Gonna real quick do my customary test to see if I can get a message in the chat because we want to make sure that all of the viewers at home can participate in this sweet, sweet live stream. And it looks like we've got messages coming in. Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I hope that your Sunday is off to a nice start. And let's dive on in. So first up, I want to give a little bit of feedback to Sam Casey. Hello, world. It's tmi.com site is live. Check it out. Sign up, refer some friends, and give me some feedback. At Kalen Jordan, I'm digging your live feedback lately. And if you haven't noticed, this is a real easy way to get me to review your stuff because I like reviewing stuff. All right. Control your data for profit or privacy. Every click you make online is being tracked and sold to anyone who thinks you might want to buy some. First of all, font size could be a little bigger. I know this is nitpicky. Apologize. Why shouldn't you control who see? Wait, let me start. I got to start again because I distracted myself. Every click you make online is being tracked and sold to anyone who thinks you might want to buy something. Right. Why shouldn't you control who sees what data of yours? Perfect. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of value there. This screenshot is a little small. I'm having trouble seeing what's going on here, but it looks like this is an app, I think, like a mobile app. Take control. So install our free plugin to immediately take control who gets access to your data. Okay, so it's a plugin. Is it a Chrome plugin? Is it a plugin on your phone? By the way, it's TMI is a cool name, right? TMI, too much information, too much. You're sharing too much. That's a great name, actually. I like it a lot. Unless you could change it to just TMI. Well, no, I think that works. It's TMI. itstim monetization features the power of consumers working together, protect your data, prevent certain sites or advertisers from tracking or identifying you. So I'm a couple minutes or seconds in. I still don't understand how it works. And then get started. Now let me click get started real quick and see how obvious this is. Oh, browser plugin. Okay, cool. So use the word browser plugin everywhere that you say plugin. That makes it more immediately obvious what it is. Now, I would love to be able to just do an auth here. I'm actually going to talk next up in the program about account onboarding. So don't really need that email there. Yeah, give me like an auth, like a Google auth or something like that. So it sounds interesting. I don't understand how. Well, it sounds like it's a browser plugin. So that's cool. If I could plug in a browser, if I could do a browser plugin and automatically I'm in full control of everyone that sees all my data and stuff and can even monetize it, that sounds amazing. It's hard for me to imagine that would actually work, but I mean, what the heck do I know? You know what I'm saying? What the heck do I know? All right, next up. Now I'm going to be very careful to open this up before I get into the topic because Oliver, my video dude, I'm still seeing some video clips where you start the clip and I'm still talking. I still have a screenshot with the previous topic on it, so I'm going to try to be better about that. Next up, aim for 0 field inputs with account creation. So this is cool. So I saw Iron Mike come across my radar yesterday, and what was interesting to me about it, first of all, the actual product was interesting. Create an automated website for your podcast. I was like, oh, cool. You know, I'm podcasting and I'm website creating and thinking about those things and looking at options for podcast websites and stuff. So I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then what was awesome is I was on my phone. And I think I mentioned this before, but I've been signing up for more things directly from my phone. and things like that, and thinking about ease of customer onboarding. But what was wild is that I was able to literally create a website. Now, I'm not going to sign in here from this browser to demo it, but I was able to authenticate, create an account, create a website for my podcast without any field inputs. And I think that's the gold standard. That's my new term for everything these days, is the gold standard. Now there is a typing input here in the onboarding. So I think what I did was I looked for this one. Now this is a type input. However, it's an autocomplete, right? So it's not even I have to type something. I mean, it's sort of an input field. You have to type, but it's an autocomplete, which is nice. So from there, I click here, and then it's going to, boom, button is nice and clear. And then it's going to do an auth. I did a Twitter auth. Again, going back to my first bit of feedback on its TMI, give me a nice quick auth here so I don't want to type anything. I think that if you can create an onboarding flow where you do not have to type a single thing, that is freaking amazing. It's just amazing how quickly, like I created a website with 0 field inputs on this thing. Now, of course, it's pulling data from other places. It's pulling from my podcast feed and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think that we should all strive for that to the degree that you can. And then, of course, people are going to want to customize things. But if you can get to from 0 to functionality with 0 field inputs, that's awesome. Like that's a great onboarding experience. All right. Next up, how wild is it? Okay, again, I'm going to enter this in before I start talking. How wild is it that Twitter does not have support for article content? Okay, so I've been twittering a lot more frequently as of late, and the number of tweets that have a screenshot, I've referenced some of them. On my feed, on this video, where there's text content in a screenshot, which sounds like an edge case. I can totally see how, if you're the Twitter product team, you're like, oh, that's an edge case. I mean, text content in a screenshot. I see many tweets with text content in a screenshot every day. And I read them because they tend to be highly relevant for whatever reason. And so obviously linking out to an external website is a bad experience, which I've started to do. Started to do that with where is this? Here we go. One of my blog articles, I've started to put links in there. By the way, it's not showing my image. Usually if you have an image, it pulls it in. I'm using Facebook Open Graph stuff. But anyways, that's a bad experience because, especially on mobile, it takes longer. Who knows what the formatting is going to look like when you open up that random website? Who knows if the font's going to be readable? You're going into the wild west when you click on a link from Twitter. So, and I get it. Twitter is about tweets. You know, it took a decade to go from 140 characters to 120 to 240. And so there's a lot of power in the simplicity of that. And I don't think tweets should be changed at all. Leave tweets 100% alone. Don't change them at all. But literally, if somebody is going to post a screenshot of text content, just give me an alternative. Give me a big old text field. Don't make it WYSIWYG. Don't make it text editable. Just make it plain text markdown. Even just plain text, okay? Forget markdown. Plain text. Enter that field and then when I click on it, give me a better experience than clicking on a screen. I literally click on screenshots and I zoom in to read them, and I move my phone so I can read the content. And thousands, millions of people are doing this every day. I promise you, millions of people are clicking on screenshots, zooming in to read the content every single day. So, yeah, if you could just copy and paste a dumb copy and paste field, enter, and then when I see that in my feed, I can click on it and it can just format it so it's readable. That's it. That's all I need. That would be a game changer. Straight up game changer. All right. Content team is a soy this. Wait, let me paste this into the screenshot before I start talking so we can have a clean break. All right. Content team as a soy this. So this is a post, which, by the way, this is very meta. This article was written by my content team, my writer, who is amazing. Oh, I got my first message in the chat. Alan, thank you, sir, for sending that in on Twitch. I did see that. I do see that message. By the way, Oliver, when you edit this video, just cut that part out since it's not relevant to the topic. But thanks, Alan. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And if anybody's watching, Alan has a Twitch channel. See if I can find it. Alan. Bro, Alan, I never know how to spell your last name. Alan. All right, so Twitch search is failing me, but Alan has a Twitch stream. I think he does live coding and stuff like that. So check that out if you haven't yet. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Building a content team as a service. So as I've been doing this content and building out a team to do video editing and content writing, I've been thinking to myself, wow, it would be neat to turn this into a service. I've always been interested in productized services. If you followed me for a while, you know about Good Links, which was a productized service that actually did okay, but then we folded it up. Anywho, so I put this idea out there, and then I got some feedback. A couple people were like, no. But then I already have two buddies who have expressed interest in the service. So I'm beginning to take it more seriously. And basically the idea is, and so what's cool is, so the way I'm doing it, and especially if there are people that want to use a very similar model to what I'm doing, it would be pretty easy to do. Basically, just copy and paste what I'm doing here, which is you have video content that's a source, which is somewhat longer form, like this is. It doesn't have to be the same length. It doesn't have to be the same type of content, but you take video in, and then that goes to the video editor. And shout out to Oliver, who's been doing editing, doing a great job. And then he takes those and cuts them up into bite-sized clips. So, for example, on the YouTube channel, let's see if this is going to be easy to find. Again, this is a fresh, this is a completely empty Chrome profile. So it doesn't have any of my stuff in it. Let's see if I can find this. No search history, obviously. That would be dangerous. There we go. By the way, there's a dude named Kalen who's like a huge YouTuber, which is freaking cool. And I have 18 subscribers. So, I mean, he has 760,000, but I'm coming for you, bro. I'm coming for you. Oh, check that out. Live now. So that's this. This is such a meta topic on multiple levels. Okay. So we take this 20, 30 minute thing and it gets cut up. So, for example, this is yesterday's. It got cut up into individual topics. Thumbnails are supposed to get done. So 30 seconds, 2 minutes. And basically, we tighten up the content. So we do cuts to remove ums, ahs, and just make it a little bit punchier. From there, we take these and is my volume down? Let me turn my volume down so that it doesn't actually play. We take these and they get written up. So I don't want to actually play. Oh, also, this might overload my CPU, so I got to be real careful. Let me stop that. So this is the content that the writer writes. And then this also gets repurposed on LinkedIn. I'm going to close this because it might overload my CPU. Anyways, that content gets posted to LinkedIn and also posted to the blog. And so we've got video clip. And then the other thing that we're adding, I did this manually myself yesterday, but we're going to add this to the workflow, is this these video clips. These video clips here like this, where we've got a nice title and nice captions. And then those can go on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So that's kind of the format. And basically, yeah. So basically, if that's something you're interested in, it's doing really well. Again, the writing is great. I'm posting it to my LinkedIn. It's doing really well. Getting some nice engagement. And the cool thing is, if you've ever tried to hire a writer before, it's really hard to hire a writer and be like, okay, go write stuff, right? Because especially if you're trusting them with your voice, right? Like, to represent you, it's really hard to do. Now, what makes this all work is that they're literally writing the stuff that I'm saying. So if I post something to my LinkedIn as myself, I feel comfortable with that because it's me. It's not like I said, "Hey, writer, can you write something on the topic of customer onboarding?" And then they just have to make something up. The chances that that's gonna be good content are much lower than if it's something you're saying yourself. And if you're comfortable with, saying stuff on, like, for me, it's easy to just say stuff spontaneously, and it's not all very good, but there's a couple nuggets in it that are okay. And then basically the idea is that you have the team is surfacing up those nuggets. And so anyways, I don't know if I'm going to do this, but it'd be kind of fun. So if you're interested in that, let me know. The more people that are interested, the better. All right. Live stream contest. Okay, let me pull this up. Pull up this tweet before I start on this topic. It's funny. I listen back to these on audio. If you're listening to the audio podcast, that's the other part of the content service, is that there's an audio podcast version of it, which I just take the audio version of this and put it up without any editing. So anyways, I was listening to it, and then those pauses in between topics, sometimes I'm like, wait, did the podcast stop playing? So I got to work on not pausing so much. So, okay, live stream typing contest. So this is fun. I was thinking that it would be fun doing all this live streaming, and it'd be fun to do a typing speed contest. So my tweet was, it'd be hilarious, live stream typing speed contest. I will rock all y'all busters. And then Richard replied here about there was a zombie shoot 'em up game that was like a typing contest. Isaiah and PJ are in the running, and Isaiah and PJ both think that they can rock me, which is adorable, because I'll crush both of you guys. Honestly, I'm a little worried about PJ, because PJ is the Iron Man of the Magento community, but I'll rock you too, PJ. Sorry, but it's just. But I don't know how. There's some cool typing speed tests, and I don't know how to live stream this, because live streaming to people remote is such a train wreck. Like, I'm trying to figure that out, but there's always a lag. The quality is rough. So I don't know the best way to do that. Obviously, this is sort of a version of online gaming, essentially, which I know there's this whole huge world of online gaming that I don't know very much about. Um, and So there's got to be a way to do this. But if anybody can figure that out, let me know, because we'll friggin' do this. I mean, we'll go nuts. All right. Next up, last mile. Let me wait for this to load. Last mile of UX. So this is a really interesting tweet that I saw from Daniel Gross. A few people appreciate the quote, last mile of UX. Making something really slick is $1 billion moat. Zoom wasn't the first, nor WhatsApp. They're just excellent. Take any productivity app, Zoomify it, build yourself an empire. Quote, 100 milliseconds is the best patent. So there's a lot going on in here. There's a lot to unpack in this tweet. So last mile, if you haven't heard that phrase before, we talk about the last mile of shipping. I think is where that phrase came from. And what it means is if I want to ship a package to X location, the first X number of miles, so the first 99 miles are easy in the sense that you ship it from your fulfillment center through whatever FedEx to whatever distribution center is within a mile or 2 miles, within a mile of the actual consumer. But that last mile is what's complicated, because now you're trying to ship. By the way, I'm hearing some background noise here. The kids are yelling. Hopefully the background noise is somewhat isolated with these mics. We'll find out very soon when I listen back to this. So that last mile is complicated because the last mile could be delivering somewhere rural. It could be, who knows where that last mile is going to. Okay, so applying this analogy to UX, I think that what it means is going from 99% user friendliness or good user experience, and I've been thinking about, again, onboarding and things like that, is going from 99% essentially to 100% is a hard problem to solve, right? Like it's easy. It's not easy. It's one thing to have your app, your web app, your service be 99% user friendly. That last percentage, that last mile where you just smooth out all of the user flows, you make everything easy, you make everything intuitive, all of your copywriting, all of your language just immediately makes sense, is what gives you that moat. Now, a moat as a business, a moat is, if you have there's so many analogies in this tweet. If you have a castle, the moat around it is what prevents people from attacking you. So as a business, your moat is what prevents people from competing with you, right? Zoom wasn't the first, nor WhatsApp. They're just excellent. Now, one thing that's weird about this, I assume he's talking about Zoom video, the Zoom video conferencing software, which is funny because Zoom is interesting in the sense that the quality of their video is probably the best. It's probably better than Hangouts. It's probably better than other options. But the UX is actually not the greatest. Like, I find their account management interface confusing. There's a lot of things that are actually confusing about it. But the video quality is probably the most reliable. But anyway, the broader point is, unless he's talking about another app, but the broader point is to build an app that's just perfect is what's really difficult. And then 100 milliseconds is the best patent. What this means, I believe, is this is kind of like a yes, no. So you can have patents, right? You can patent. Like, I just talked about an idea for a content team as a service. I could go and create a patent for that system, right? But, people are still going to rip it off at the end of the day. Most likely you got to defend your patent and, legally it's a train wreck. But 100 milliseconds, in other words, if you can have your app so fast and so snappy, so good, That's sort of the best pattern, right? Like a super fast, super user friendly app is sort of the best pattern. It's because that's what's genuinely hard for people to compete with. So that's a really interesting idea. Last mile of UX. That's definitely sticking in my head, and want to share my thoughts on that. All right, next up. So this is a funny tweet, but it's like actually super true. From Spooky and the Boys Twitter account. Um, it's hard to make friends as an adult, which I've talked about that literally that almost that same exact phrase. I saw somebody else tweet. I think I talked about that on a recent stream, which is why everyone starts a podcast and asks people to be a guest as a front, which is like, it's funny, but it's like super true. Like, I have a couple people lined up to come on my podcast. I got this studio where you can't see in this video because I'm so zoomed in, but I have this, I'm like $2,500 deep now between my camera and microphones and stuff. But anyways, like I have a couple people coming over to do podcasts, and I'm excited about the content, but I'm also just excited about spending time with them and about, having other people come over and stuff like that. So, it's just hilarious because it's like totally true. And I don't know if you think about that when you start a podcast intentionally, but as you start to do it, you realize like, oh wow, a lot of the value of doing this podcast is just the conversations I have with guests and the relationships that are built. So that's just a funny thing, but I think it's true. So I think that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow.